What's up guys, macadii here, and today guys, week 8 of the DSL League, where I am up against the Darkraislayer, coach of the DarkVoidDunsparces. So if you guys are excited, don't forget to leave a like down below. I would really appreciate it. What we'll do is we'll run through what he can be bringing and what I'm going to be bringing. At the minute, we are 6-2, which isn't too bad. So hopefully I was, obviously trying to get as many wins as possible. Well, it's looking likely that we're going to be in the playoffs at this point, but, we still need a few more wins just to shore that up. So he could be bringing the Volcanion, Manibuzz, Mienshao, Smeargle, Mespirit, Claydol, M-Beedrill, Serperior, Heliolisk, Slurpuff, and Hoopa. So a very interesting team. Some very prominent threats, things like Volcanion is very difficult to switch into. Smeargle, you never know what a Smeargle's going to do. M-Beedrill as well, I've got checks for it like Talonflame, but only really offensive checks. I have a few switch-ins like Fortress, but it's still quite a spooky mon to have to try and deal with. And things like Serperior late game could be a very scary mon. So he's got lots of mons that can be very scary late game if I let the certain mons get weakened too much. So the first Pokemon I decided I had to bring is the Milotic. So Milotic is designed as a switch into Volcanion. I can handle that, I can Mirror Coat it if needs be, but the Mirror Coat's mainly for another mon. I can't do massive amounts to Volcanion, but I can still sort of pressure it with Mirror Coat and stuff like that. It doesn't get any sort of really reliable recovery out of leftovers, so I can do, I can damage it pretty hard from there. I've got the Rindo Berry on there, which stops super effective grass, weakens super effective grass type attacks. Because with the spread I've got, he just misses out on a KO with Serperior. So what that means from full with the Rindo Berry, I take less than 50% from a Life Orb Serperior's Leaf Storm for the first time, and then I can just about live it for the second time with the Rindo Berry at +2. So this guy's designed just as a check to that, and then I can Mirror Coat it back. It just means even if I'm slightly weakened and he's like, oh, I can bring in Serperior, he's going to come in, Leaf Storm, I can Mirror Coat, and then that guy's out the way. Because that guy can be very scary, as I said, especially late game. We also have the Talonflame. I decided Choice Band was the best way to go. I was considering Swords Dance, but when I looked at it, I was like, actually, there's not too much I can set up on. And he doesn't actually have any mons that resist Flying type Stab. So this guy's literally designed to come in, nuke stuff, and then come back out. The speed investment on there means I can outspeed things like the Heliolisk if I need to. Late game, that could be very key. And I've got Tailwind on there because I can potentially Tailwind up and get Nidoqueen in or something like that, because Nidoqueen also puts in a lot of work. We've got Nidoqueen, which is a 4 attacking set with Earth Power, Sludge Wave, Sucker Punch, and Ice Beam. I know I've got negative attack nature on there, but the Sucker Punch still does over 50% to Beedrill. So after 2 sets of rocks, I can definitely, basically take it out from there, which is really nice. And makes it a lot easier to deal with. Basically, that's the best way to deal with M-Beedrill, is physical priority if you have it. Earth Power, Sludge Wave, and Ice Beam hits everything else really hard. I can pressure things like the Manibuzz, Volcanion I can hit very hard, so hopefully this guy, will be putting in some work. Very speedy, because it means I can outspeed things like Hoopa, if I remember rightly. I think it's mainly Hoopa and Smeargle, that's the other thing I wanted to outspeed. Then I've got my dedicated lead, which is my Zoroark. This guy's designed to check things like Smeargle lead. I don't want sticky webs and have to deal with those, especially with things like the Nidoqueen being so key. So I've got Taunt on there, Knockoff, Sucker Punch, and Pursuit, because Knockoff and Sucker Punch actually, outside of Manibuzz and Mienshao, I can do a lot to the rest of his team with this set. I guess maybe the Slurpuff as well, but I can knock off its Citrus Berry at the very least if I want to. Pursuit Trap's really nice because I don't have the most reliable switches to Hoopa. Like, Hoopa can do quite a considerable amount to Milotic, so having a way to just basically Sucker Punch it if it's a Scarf, or Pursuit Trap it if it's non-Scarf is really nice for me. And with Black Glasses, I get that little bit of a boost, but I can bluff the Scarf or something like that if I want to. Next, we've got the Fortress, which is a physically defensive set. This guy is designed to check the M-Beedrill, and also the Slurpuff as well, because if that Slurpuff starts setting up a Belly Drum, that could be very spooky for me. So I've got Durable, Stealth Rock, because Stealth Rock's going to be also very key for wearing down the Manibuzz and also the M-Beedrill. Volt Switch, and then Rapid Spin to get rid of, rocks or anything like that he might be bringing on his Mespirit or Claydol. With just max physically defensive with a bit of attack investment. As I said, just a few checks to different things. I really like Fortress for this matchup. Have to watch out for Volcanion, but apart from that, and I guess Serperior as well, but apart from that, we can check quite, a lot of his team from there. Next, we got the Rotomo. This guy is a Choice Scarf set designed to basically Volt Switch around. He has no ground type outside of Claydol. I'm not really expecting Claydol, to be honest, and I've got switches into it. Zoroark pressures it, Nidoqueen pressures it, Milotic pressures it. Talonflame can U-turn on it, so I can put enough pressure on it where I don't have to worry too much. So this guy's designed just to come in, Volt Switch, get some initiative going, outspeeds M-Beedrill as well, which is really, really huge. Discharge is for late game. I prefer Discharge over Thunderbolt just because that paralysis chance can be quite clutch, especially if they're switching in a check. So, yeah, that should be really interesting. With the Leaf Storm, most of the time I am just going to be clicking Volt Switch, but, I have to bring Leaf Storm from here. And Trick allows me to trick, for example, if the Manibuzz is being a problem, or something like that, or if the Slurpuff comes in, I can, trick that first turn and they belly drums, and then I don't have to deal with that anymore. Things like that. So that's the team that I decided to bring, and what we'll do now is go over to the battle. Okay, so we are at the battle, and as you can see, he brought a considerable amount of offense with a, interesting defense call with the Manibuzz and the Mespirit most likely. The M-Beedrill is going to be a bit of a pig to try and deal with. Mienshao, we need to find out if that's Scarf or not. We have a couple of switch-ins to Mienshao, and at this point here is when I realised, actually, I don't have massive amounts for Mienshao. Like, I can offensively check it, but defensively, it's a little bit tricky. The Serperior as well, I basically need to preserve Talonflame to try and take out some of its, some of his checks, some of his offensive mons, so that's going to be really, really key, because his main offensive mons are all checked by Talonflame, so I need to keep rocks off the field, make sure Talonflame doesn't get worn out too much. So I decided my best lead here was going to be my Zoroark. As I said, I can, taunt it, if the Mespirit comes out, I can taunt it, or something like that, if that decides to lead, and I decided my best thing to do was to, pretend to be my Fortress. So I come out pretending to be Fortress, as out comes the Mienshao. I unfortunately have to switch. I had a great matchup against pretty much everything apart from this guy, so I have to go into my own Fortress here, and he shows the Life Orb, so he's going to be very, very spooky, and at this point here, I'm just like, I need to set up my rocks. That's going to be really nice to wear down the Manibuzz. Out comes the Beedrill, and I was like, do I Gyro Ball or do I Volt Switch? I expect him to U-turn, so I was like, oh, okay, I'll just, Volt Switch out, but unfortunately he does knock me off, so my Fortress is going to, get worn down more quickly, and he has no real reliable switch into Talonflame. Out comes Manibuzz. That reveals that it's pretty much fully physically defensive. Now, this was a big mind game here, because when you look to the calc, if I was Adamant, I had 80% chance to OHKO, and if it was less than that, if I was, max attack, Jolly, then that went that I actually had like a 10% chance to OHKO, and that was actually a high roll, so it was a very difficult choice on his part what to do from here. I decided, you know what, I'm going to stay in, I'm going to bluff it. I'm expecting him to switch. He can't afford to lose the Manibuzz here, because the Manibuzz is his best way to defog, and with the M-Beedrill being around, it's going to get worn down considerably. So I'm just going to click Brave Bird regardless, as he does switch out here and goes into the Mespirit. So at this point here, do a really good chunk to this guy. It makes sense for me just to take this guy out, because that means there's no more rocks on my side of the field, and Talonflame can basically, I can preserve later on, and, basically that's, good news for me. So out comes the Mienshao. At this point here, I have to switch, I have to preserve Talonflame. He does go for the Fake Out again, so that's really nice for me. I can basically get the Volt Switch off as he goes to the HGK, doing a huge amount of damage to me as I go for the Volt Switch. And I had to think about who I wanted to go into, and I was like, you know what, we're going to put more pressure on, we're going to go into Talonflame again, which in the long run was probably an iffy play on my part, because as I said, my Talonflame's slowly getting worn down, which is going to be very, very spooky. Out it comes again, so I make the switch out, sack off my Fortress, as he goes for Fake Out again, and he is going to be able to take me out from there with the Acrobatics. But now he's fairly worn down, I can go for another Brave Bird with Talonflame, get another kill, which is really nice for me. Out comes Hoopa. I should have U-turned here rather than going for that Brave Bird, because you can see the amount of recoil is really, really bad for me, and I have to switch here. I can't afford to get Fake Outed. So I go into Nidoqueen, high jump kick comes through, and that does so much damage. I was expecting that to potentially not 2-hit KO, but unfortunately that does 2-hit KO, putting me in a very, very tricky position. So I go into my Milotic here. I can't afford to go into anything else, because I need to preserve Talonflame basically in case the Serperior, comes in or something like that. So killing that Hoopa was a really, really big mistake. I should have just U-turned, gone into Zoroark, and sacked off, because I knew he'd keep the Mienshao around. So that was a big misplay on my part, is letting my Talonflame get worn down. Out comes the Beedrill here. I just go for Scald as he comes in and switches in. Now he's going to go for knocking off my Rinneberry, which is really, really unfortunate, because now I don't have a, I lose one of my checks to Serperior, and I do have to take out the Beedrill from here. So that's a real pain for me, because out comes Mr. Serperior, Miss Serperior, takes me out with the Leaf Storm, and now I have to go into my Talonflame. At this point here, I was like, you know what I should have done? I should have added enough speed into Talonflame to outspeed Serperior. But then I was thinking about it, you know, if I had that much HP, you know, had to take that much out of HP, I probably would be dead right now. So it's kind of sort of 50-50. So I had to decide what to do. I could either double, or I could, you know, stay in, go for the Brave Bird here, and get a kill from there. And, you know, that would be potentially the end of the game for me. From such a strong start to then, you know, to end up losing from there would be really, really unfortunate. So I do go for the Brave Bird, take out the Serperior, which is really nice for me. And then out comes the Mienshao from here. I go into my Zoroark. And what I can do, he goes for the Fake Out. And he goes, you know, goes for Fake Out, damages me. I go for Sucker Punch and bring him all the way down. Now, there's a bit of complication. The sprite here is actually Rotom-Mow. But for some reason, it's showing me, because there's something glitchy about Zoroark. Basically, I've got Rotom-Mow in the back. And once I decided I could go into Rotom-Mow, go for the Discharge, had a good chance to kill. No, sorry, a Leaf Storm had a, you know, I could kill. But then I was like, I've got a 10% chance to lose this game from doing that. So I was like, better if going to Zoroark, Sucker Punching, getting some damage off of the Mienshao, and then I can just go for Discharge and basically guaranteed to win the game from there. So out comes my Rotom, I just go for the Discharge, and that is the end of the game. So very, very close to finish. That was a little bit too close to comfort, but I definitely overstretched my Talonflame. It put in so much work, but almost too much work early game. So that was a bit of a mistake on my part. But anyway, we did end up getting the win. So we are currently now is it 7-2? No, because this is week 8. So it must be 6 and... Yeah, we must be something like 6 and 2 now, because this is week... I'm sure this is week... Did I say week 8? I don't know. Anyway, something like that. We've got 2 losses and then the rest have all been wins. So anyway, I hope you guys did enjoy the video. If you did, don't forget to leave a like, and I will see you guys at the next one. Macadii out.